Yo, yo. God, I love that intro, G. Love it.
I was honestly just thinking that. I was like, this is dope.
I love it. I love it. Episode 9, Mic Cuddles, Gillian the Savage Robertson, right there. What's that hoodie?
It's actually a really old hoodie. I don't know. I end up wearing it more than anything else. I feel like it's like I've had it for like years, and it's just probably what I wear the most often now.
Dude, I'm in like hoodies literally probably 20 hours of the day, especially in Florida. Like, I know it's hot as hell outside. I get it. Memorial Day weekend just passed. Hopefully you saw sun and water and all that. But every single time, like anytime you go inside, it's so fucking cold inside anywhere in Florida. Like, I just go home and put a hoodie on. It's like, nope. Island Fights hoodie, Icon hoodie.
I feel like every girl in Florida is usually a hoodie and short shorts. Like, that's the go-to outfit.
That's me. That's me. No,
That's
not the short shorts, not the short shorts. But what's up? How's everything going with you? How's Gillian Savage's life going right now?
I feel like I'm finally getting settled in, kind of. It's been like, I think we're like a month now into moving into here, and it's like finally just getting like acclimated to the schedule, the extra traffic, the extra driving. Like when I was living in Port St. Lucie, I was literally right across the street from Dean's house, and I would just train with him all the time. So it was like 2-minute drive, and like I would have a very private training session, just completely different than what I'm doing now. So it's like, just to get used to the workload, the amount of laundry that I'm doing now, I'm like literally.
You're all grown up. You're all grown up.
Exactly.
Oh,
and like just so much more that I've been doing lately. Just been training so much more. So it's like, I feel like finally, like this week, I'm finally feeling like I'm getting settled in. I'm getting my hair done next week. Finally, I'm like getting back to normal life.
All right. It like, does it make? I know it's so much easier literally just driving to Dean's house across the block and a half. I made that drive with you one time. Like, it was just like you said, super easy, right? But is it like kind of more of a like, okay, I'm going to a job thing. Like, I'm going to deal with traffic like almost normal people. I'm going to make that drive. I'm going to like go to the gym. Is that a little different? Does that kind of like put a little extra juice on it at all? Does that make sense?
I think it puts just a little bit extra hurt on it, and that's about it. I'm like, it's taken out of my nap time. I'm like, I'm a notorious napper. I'm a great napper. I love to nap, and especially like I'm training 5 hours in the morning, usually then an hour or two at night. And so my midday naps are very important, and traffic can cut into that. So that's definitely been a big issue for me. But literally, I'm 30 minutes north or an hour north, depending on traffic.
Right. The 3 best things Gillian Robertson is best at. You ready? 1 is naps, midday naps. All right. 2, rear naked chokes in the UFC. You have records. That's 2. Number 3 is writing the text in your messages, but not sending the text out. Top 3.
Well, no, that the third one just falls under the cloud of being one of the top 3 stoners.
Yes. Yeah. We should slide that in somewhere. Top 4.
Well, that includes the not sending text messages as being a stoner, so it's in the same category there.
Right. Oh my gosh, that's the best. So I got this awesome story, and and I know you are connected into it in a couple of different ways. So let me and it will lead to so much more. So this past weekend, Island Fights happened, and doing the commentary there, and Eddie Martinez, who you met multiple times, Eddie, we filmed something with you. We've done it, at the gym. We've done it at the house, blah, 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 blah. And he was going to Island Fights to take pictures and videos, right? So we're at weigh-ins, and he's taking pictures. We're doing the weigh-in pictures, and there's literally, it's a huge room. It's a big show. Alan Belcher's there. He's cornering someone. John Gabbana's there. He's fighting in the co-main. There's other UFC people there, whatever. So at the end of weigh-ins, out of 150 people, there's like 7 people left in this room. So we're like, what's going on? It's just kind of us, the people working there with Island Fights, a coach and a kid / fighter. So we go, like, we kind of talked to him, and he goes, my guy who I was supposed to fight never showed up. Like, I weighed in, I did the doctor stuff. I'm on weight. I'm 156 pounds, but my guy never showed up. So Eddie Martinez is there, and he's right behind us, and he's like, what weigh-in? Like, how much do you weigh? He's like 156. It was supposed to be 155. And he's like, oh, damn, I probably weigh maybe 160. I haven't had lunch today, but I'm usually weigh 160. I'll fight you. Everyone laughed except for one. I know Eddie's serious. I know he's a little serious. And then the fighter who, like, you know, this G, like he had a training camp. He weighed in, he cut weight. This kid's like 19 years old. He's pretty damn good for one. And he actually wants to like do bare knuckle stuff in the future. So he's really serious about it. So he's like, okay, I'll fight you. He's like, you can weigh in whatever you want. So they're like, okay, Eddie, go weigh in. So we still think people are still kind of laughing. Eddie goes weigh in. He's 159 pounds. And the guy's like, I'll do it. Like, I'll fight you. The commission's there. They're like, are you guys serious right now? And Eddie's like, yeah, I'll do it. And boom, we have a fucking fight. It's
okay. So when I saw the pictures of that, like, I didn't even believe it at first.
Right.
I was like, maybe they're just joking. Like, this is a guy that looks like Eddie, or maybe that's Photoshop or something. I'm like, it was not clicking that like that was real at first. Yeah. I was so mind blown by that.
I know. So now it's like fight day, and it's literally fight day for Eddie. And I can feel it because we're together, right? So I feel it like around lunchtime. He starts to like stress out a little bit. He's like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm fighting in a couple hours. And, you know, so we're at the office there and we're kind of bullshitting. We're getting some stuff done. We're kind of learning about other fighters. We're starting to get info down and shit like that. And like Eddie is like really, he's like all about like he wants his entrance to be dope. Dean Toole's there. He's like, hey, played this song. And like, so it was such a whirlwind and it was such a crazy thing. And then it was like fight day. He had to get there early instead of like being, you know, whenever, kind of like to take pictures and do commentary and shit. He had to be there early for the fighters meeting. He's in like the fighters thing. And yeah, Eddie fought literally on 12 hours notice, taking pictures at weigh-ins to saying yes, weighing it, and fought that night in the kickboxing match and went a round and a half. It was crazy.
That's just like
so
much respect to him.
Yeah.
Like, so much respect after that. That's just just such an awesome scenario. Like I said, I didn't even believe it seeing at first. I was just so mind blown, but I'm so happy for him.
So so there's so many things to go with it. What has been the crazy? Let's start with amateur, because amateur stuff more, I feel like stuff can happen like that. What's been the craziest kind of a story you've seen on a show that you fought on? It has to deal with you or not even have to deal with you, something on the card, something happened. What's a crazy story like that in part of your career?
I feel like I've been kind of like blessed in my career in a way that I haven't had to deal with. Like, I've never had like, I've had one opponent pull out late, like short notice kind of thing. And I had a replacement, and that was even in the UFC. I was supposed to fight KGB. She pulled out a week, and then I fought Tyla Santos.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's the only fight I've ever had, like amateur or pro, where somebody has pulled out of me. Where I feel like it's notorious, especially in the amateurs, for people to be constantly pulling out for like dumb reasons or like having to find replacements. Or I remember, I feel like especially with guys, it's a little bit worse because I don't know. I feel like girls, there's not as many of us. So it's like when you finally find a fight, it's like, all right, no, we're going through with this. We're going to do it. We finally found an opponent. Where it's like, guys, there's just so many of them. So many guys were like, oh, I can fight. I can do this. Then when time comes, they're not made for it and they're not ready. And I remember one of my friends, though, he had a kickboxing match and he literally walked out to the cage, took 2 steps onto the ring. And then they were like, whoa, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm about to go fight. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, your fight got canceled. They like didn't even tell him. They just like let him, like he was like 2 steps into the ring before it got called. So I'm like, it's like you see a lot of heartbreaking situations like that with all the ups and downs of like you said with amateur MMA.
Yeah, it's so crazy. Your point absolutely nailed. That's the first thing I thought of when you said it happens more with men MMA than female MMA because there's few, especially on the amateur scene, and especially let's just call it a spade, especially if you're good. Like no one kind of wants to fight you. Like, you know, a lot of the girls, some girls at Fusion or some girls down south, that if you're a legit, really good amateur, like no one wants to fight you. Like, why fight? Let's just throw out a name. That's why fight Kat Nelson, right? Like she's really, really good. Everyone knows how good she is. It's like, why would like another amateur fight Kat? You know, I don't know. So there's like, there's a lot of that. And then the guys, there's so many shows. And then, dude, like, you know, probably back in the day, there was just maybe Rise of Warrior. And then in the Orlando side, there was just Combat Night. In the Northwest, there was just Dean and Island Fights. Now there's like so many little shows. Like in Florida, there's an amateur MMA show every single week. It does not matter. Like there's somewhere, something. So it's like another guy can just transfer another show super easy. That's what I think.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like so many guys, I think it's more of like an ego thing, like a macho man thing. Like, oh no, I can do this. And like, especially like on an amateur scene where it's like, it's not real yet. It's not like like it's not professional fighters. Like, it's just like, yeah, I got the opportunity. I can do this. But when it comes down to the moment, it's like, oh shit, like I signed up for a fist fight. Like, this is real. I'm going to be in front of a lot of people fighting somebody tonight, and they're not made for it. Right. And it's like, even like, people don't understand the fact of having a fight when you know about it for weeks in advance. That shit eats away at you. It's like every single night you're thinking about that for like 6 weeks in advance or whatever you have, like however much notice you have. It's not like just like a fight on the street where you get into a fight, it's all adrenaline and you don't even think about it. It just, you go. Whereas like now you have to think, okay, this person's getting ready for me. Oh, they're thinking about everything I'm doing. Okay. And like, it's just a lot of mental stress at the end of it. And a lot of people really aren't made for it.
Tell me what's like a good UFC story that maybe you don't even have to say names if you don't want to say names or call anyone out. Like almost like a fight. Like I've heard sometimes, and I know one scenario, same thing. I won't call it the name. Like this person was not going to fight. Like they were on a UFC card. It was booked 6 weeks in advance. They flew, they weighed in, and then they called me the day of the fight. They're like, no, I'm not going to do it. Like I'm just like nerved up, won't do it, whatever. And it's like, dude, like you're here. Like you, come on. Like you're made for this. You're a fighter, blah, 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 blah. Like, does that happen to you? Does more of that bullshit stuff happen backstage than what people even believe or think?
I don't think I've necessarily seen it, but I don't, I guess you're not really like that.
You get like tunnel vision in your shit, right?
Yeah. I'm not really like talking to a lot of other fighters and like knowing what's going on with their world. It's like, it's my fight week in my mind, it's like, that's all that matters to me. But I remember like, say for some reason, the fight I was most nervous for ever in my career was against Molly McCann. Wow. And I'm like, that was, cause like, for me, that was my first UFC fight. My fight against Emily Whitmire, it was on the Tough finale, so technically that's my first UFC fight on record. Right. But it's like I didn't get my own fight kit then. It wasn't like I got my like Reebok bag. Right. And it's like I never got to do like the fight photos, anything like that. So it wasn't like it was like I was really in the UFC then. It was like once I got signed to fight Molly McCann. It was in Liverpool, which is her hometown. She was, she just got signed too, but she was the Cage Warriors champ getting signed. So it's like 2-time defending Cage Warriors champ. I think she was like 6-1 or like 7-1, I think. And I was like, I think I was 4-2. I was like 22 years old. Just like, it was a huge moment for me. And I remember sitting in the back, like pretty much like you said, he flew all the way there. He did all this, like. It's like, you're there. You got to kind of do it. I remember I was getting my hands wrapped thinking that, like, Gillian, you're not made for anything else. Like, you have to make this walk. You have to go do this. Like, you can't turn around now. I'm sitting there getting my hands wrapped. There's no possibility of turning around now. It's like, you have to go make this walk. And it's like, I was absolutely terrified for that fight.
How did that fight go?
Quite well.
Well?
Ended up being able to pull it together fairly well. Got a second round rear naked choke, but honestly, Molly McCann, obviously her fight coming up with Hannah Goldie is something I'm extremely excited for, and both of them have been great friends since great friends to me since I fought both of them. So I'm like, it's just it's a very different world in the fight world.
That's so crazy. What a great transition. We didn't have a show last week. It was really busy and like it's so hard, and then you can kind of contest to this, like when you add like travel, and so like your life and my life, where our lives are busy enough, so like when you add that extra travelness to it of 2 days and working, it's like it makes everything tight, right? So we didn't have a show last week, but we saw the weekend before was a week 10-12 days ago was your birthday, and then it was Hannah Goldie's birthday, and then we saw some really cool pictures over the weekend. So how was a little out Orlando birthday fest weekend? How was that? How did that go?
It was definitely interesting. It's always an interesting weekend with Hannah Goldie. I'm like, I love, like, just being able to go hang out with her. It's like, especially now that I live down in Fort Lauderdale, it's just so much harder to get up there. So it's awesome to just be able to see her. And we definitely had a great weekend celebrating her birthdays. It was a Friday night, and then like I see her posting like Saturday morning. She's out like working out and at combat night and everything. I'm like, I don't even know how after Friday night. She's a superwoman.
And then a lot of people, like I saw, it was cool. It was just a lot of people in the Orlando fight scene was out with you. So that seems fun. I like it. It's so crazy because even sometimes people say that to me, like, so commentating island fights, drive back home, and then like there's not like a buffer, like there's not a day. Like with Hannah, like Hannah was probably had Odin the next day, and like I saw some really cool pictures that Hannah posted with Odin at combat night. So it's like sometimes like there's no buffer time. Like I walk in the door and like my kids expect me to be Superman. It's like, all right, like Dad, you're home. Like boom, it goes, and it's just like it gets very chaotic. It gets very like there's no buffer time from being commentating long nights, a lot of stuff, a lot of energy, and then like there's no that buffer. Like when you used to say, like when you used to compete like a submission grapple, and like it was great to have like that extra day over there in Vancouver or wherever to kind of like have a day to decompress. It really goes a long way for sure.
Even like you said, just like being so busy with traveling, it's like it's almost more of a hassle, even if it is for vacation for me at this point. Because I'm like, all right, now we have to travel. We have to go do this. We have to go do this. And then by the time Monday comes, I'm going to be exhausted for like wrestling class. So it's like, why do I want to go do all that? Like, it's just, I feel like I'm so exhausted.
Oh, Gillian froze. Let's see. Gillian, we froze up. Technology 2022. Let's see if we can get her back. GG. We'll get her back midway through. Good story. There you go. Gillian the Savage Robertson. Oh, there we go. We got you back. Someone call?
I think a little technical difficulties. Wi-Fi.
Yeah. You were saying like it cut right at the end. I think the end of your thing was like traveling is hard, and then you got wrestling class on Monday. It's like so chaotic and so much to do. So that's I think how it ended up.
Yeah, it almost seems like it's more of a hassle to like go on vacation sometimes. I feel like nowadays.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's crazy. So I'm already seeing fight announcements. You know, our guy Marcel on Twitter, like he's already, and it's like September 10th and September 16th. I'm like, holy crap. Like, I feel like Memorial Day just kicked off. Like now, like we're getting into the summer. I know the pay-per-views, like they got 3 pay-per-views in the kind of a 2-month span, which is pretty dope. It's stacked. But it's crazy that they already got fight announcements in September. Anything lurking? Anything kind of coming up? Are you like, have they said, okay, like there's only so many 125ers out there, and I'm going to get into one. There's a really cool fight this weekend, actually. Is there anything on the horizon you think for yourself?
For the moment, no, but not on my end. It's like I'm looking. So hopefully they'll call me up soon. I think a lot of times you see like dates get scheduled to like September, but it's also like you never know what's gonna happen. Like sometimes you get short notice, you get something that's like gonna come up quick. So I'm always ready, and like I said, I've been training a lot more lately. So it's like I'll be more than ready when that time comes.
This show literally called the Casey ONeil coming out of her fight. How freaking crazy is that? We literally like, hopefully nothing bad happens, but you know, sometimes fight stuff or you just get out of it or getting the flu, something. And literally like 2 days later, she like hurts her knee or hurts her ACL. And then we're like, boom, that's the Gillian spot versus Jessica I. Macy Barber got it. This weekend, Aaron Blanchford versus JJ Aldrich. JJ, you know very well. That's a very intriguing fight, especially for your weight class to kind of see, because JJ's starting to get on a run now. And like Aaron's kind of been out of all these girls, you know, with Casey ONeil getting a lot of pub and Macy Barber getting a lot of pub. I feel like I'm missing one. But Aaron's kind of, she's 8. Oh, Miranda Maverick, you know very well, getting a lot of publicity, younger girl. Erin's young. She's 8-1, I think, or 12-1 maybe, or she's got a really, really nice record on herself. It's a really good fight. That's a legit flyweight fight.
No, I definitely think Erin's been kind of overlooked in the division
Yeah.
a lot. Like even like she fought Miranda, and I feel like they were kind of like publicizing Miranda around that more than they were Erin. And like I think Erin's a serious threat in the division at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's a good one. And then of course we're 10 days away from recording that. We'll drop this tomorrow, but Santos and Valentina's right around the corner. That's insane. Are you looking forward to the Joanna Weili fight again? I feel like that fight somehow is like being overlooked too. Like that fight the first time was like one of the greatest, not just female fights of all time, one of the greatest fights of all time. The rematch is like 8 days away, and it's like no one's really talking about it. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like you said, like I guess like because of the first fight, you would expect there to be the publicity behind it, but also like I feel like Joanna just doesn't fight anymore. Like you never see her around,
Yeah.
so I'm like I feel like that might be a little bit of the lack of publicity. Is like that she's just not as big of a star power as she used to be. She's not as relevant, I guess, necessarily. But yeah, no, that's definitely a fight I'm going to be looking forward to. I'm definitely going to be watching, and I actually, honestly, out of the list that you named, I think that's the fight to look forward to.
Yeah. Like it's insane. Like that. It's in Singapore. Our guys Brandon Allen and Helio is out there. I just saw they just traveled out there and they're just eating Singapore food, kind of, and doing stuff like that, which is awesome. But it's crazy. That's like 9-10 days away, and like Glover and Yuri's the main event, and then both female fights in that in that featured spot. So that's gonna be exciting. I cannot wait. Talking about streaming. All right. So in the last weekend, I don't know. Do you kind of get once in a while into a show and like you just have to run through it like on a streaming service?
Yes, but it has to be something very like it's very rare that it happens. Okay. I feel like I said, I'm a great napper, so the show has to take precedence to napping, and that has to be a very good show to do that.
What was the last show that kind of were like, wow, okay, they got me. I'm hooked. I'm watching it.
It was probably Squid Games, I want to say.
Okay.
Yeah, but before that, like, I can't even remember. Like, usually any of the shows that go like viral or like I know there's the new Stranger Things out. I saw like the first 1 or 2 seasons of that. So like I've watched a lot of the bigger shows, but I'm like, it has to be a special show to come along.
Yeah, that's actually we watched that at the house. We haven't watched the new ones yet, but we got to get into that. So we got like HBO Max. So like I just like what was it? I just watched a good movie on HBO Max, and then I'm watching Obi-Wan Kenobi. Grant Dawson's got me in an Obi-Wan Kenobi thing. Disney Plus Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars guy at all, but the show is so good. It's like so good, the storytelling in it, and like I don't know. It's got me hooked. It's got 3 episodes, and I actually watched the 3rd one this morning. I'm like, dude, this is good. Grant Dawson got me hooked.
I'm a huge fan of like any of like the Planet Earth kind of videos, you know, where they're always following the animals. Or like there's one that I'm watching right now that it's on Apple TV, and it's prehistoric life, so it's going like behind dinosaurs and like talking about them, but it's the same as like Planet Earth, kind of like they just use the CGI as the dinosaurs. It's really cool. So I'm like, just any of those types of shows are gonna get me lost all the time.
That's cool. I like that. Just mentioned Grant, so we'll talk about this at the end, and we'll roll after that. Is so Grant Dawson's fiance, Elle Wagman, who now trains at American Top Team. She does some stuff here for Fight Bananas as well with a betting show. She just won her fight at FAC 14 last weekend. Rear naked choke, very Gillian Savage like, but really cool. She's 5-0. But the thing is, so I talked to her about, she's like 105. She weighs 105. And she says she's felt and she's trained with the girls at 115, especially at ATT. And she just feels like those are bigger girls. Like she's like, doesn't think that the strawweight division's really, probably best for her. And with the UFC not having a 105 pound division, she's like thinking it's got to be like a 1, or, let's see if the PFL does anything, or once in a while Bellator will do a little 105. But it is wild to like, most fighters' goals, right, is to be in the UFC, and she's 5-0, really great hot prospect, you know, with the gym behind it and all of that nature, but like she doesn't have a home at UFC. Like it's probably got to be one, which is kind of like weird to say that out loud. It's like she can't fight where she kind of wants to because they don't even have the division for her. It's pretty wild.
Oh, it's like until about like I want to say Ronda Rousey just got in the UFC. It was probably like 7-8 years ago, and it's like until then that was the way for all women like that, you know, where it's like no woman had a place to go in the sport. So it's like it's definitely it's mind blowing to still see that it's like obviously 105 I don't think is as uncommon of a size for women to be, where it's like I'm more surprised that they brought in a 45 division first over a 105 division, you know. It's like it's very rare to see an athletic woman that has to cut down to 145 pounds. It's like it's more likely to see a tiny girl that's gonna walk her out like closer to 105. It's like that just doesn't make practical sense to me.
So nailed it. There you go. Gillian's 2 for 2 on the nails right now tonight. So like, yeah, like you got to think not just a normal mom walking around, like you got to think fighter wise and in pinnacle shape and busting her ass and training all the time, that you would think that there would be more females in the 110, 105 area than 145, which is, you know, 155, even PFL with 155. Like you think about it, there's not a lot of females that are, you know, fighting for a living that are 155. Like that's 165 in real life or 170 for, you know, that's pretty wild. So I think sooner or later, to be really honest, I think the UFC will adopt 105, and probably the UFC, I don't think they will ever adopt 155 because for at least for now, that 145 is weak. Like there's just not a lot of depth there. And then if those girls from PFL or other divisions, like Julia Budd did fight at 145, she actually just got announced she's fighting Kayla Harrison in Atlanta in the 155 pound division, which will be a great fight. But you know, Julia is a 145er. Like that's her, you know, her normal fighting weight. So I'm intrigued. I hope that 105 does come to the UFC sooner than later.
Yeah, I really like you said. I really hope that I don't know. There is such a higher pool of smaller girls. It's a higher talent pool. The only reasoning I could see the UFC to put it behind it is like knockout power kind of thing. You know, it's like a 105er isn't going to be knocking anybody out. Where a 45, like you have Amanda or Cyborg up there who's going to be putting a girl down, and that's exciting to watch. But it's like that's all you have is Amanda and Cyborg up there. It's like who else is a 45er who's going to be doing damage and actually like executing and showing technique, where it's like the 05ers are at least going to be technical. I feel like you'd see a lot faster and more exciting and more technical side of the sport with the 05ers.
No, so true. So true. Episode 9, Mic Cuddles. I just noticed this now. Yeah, a new background behind you.
It's actually just like it's hanging up. It's just like I don't even like a picture
backdrop.
Yeah, backdrop. Yeah. That's the word we're looking for.
Not just a hat rack. There we go. Gillian the Savage Robertson. Yeah, something soon. You know, there's a lot of female flyweight fights. If you kind of go to that Topology and look over the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, there's some 125s out there. And like a lot of girls do seem like I did look up Topology too. Like almost everyone's fighting. There's not a lot of options. So if something happened to JJ, like they might be like, hey, Gillian, we need you here. You know what I mean? Something happens to Santos, you know, hey, like you might step up right into Valentina. Who knows?
I don't know about that one just yet. Give it a couple of years and we'll be ready for that phone call. But any other phone call, I'm sitting by the phone, you know, I'll be waiting for it.
There you go. Wait, Macy Barber, Jessica I, that's in 5 weeks. So, hey, you never know.
I already tried for it. I'll try for it again.
Try for it again. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe Jessica I will fall out and then it's you versus Macy too.
I'm like, either one. I'm down for it. Let's run it. Let's go.
Love it. Awesome, G. Always great talking to you. Good seeing you. Have a good week, and we'll do it again next week. We'll talk to you soon.
For episode 10 next week.
Oh, dude, should we get a guest for episode 10? Should we do this?
I think we have to.
Mind drop. Awesome. Okay, we're going to have this amazing outro. Gillian and I will talk off stage. Episode 10, maybe our first ever guest. We'll get it. Later.